Friday, and welcome back to Deals Revealed. We have a special thing we're going to do for you this week, but we always talk about what's really happening in the restaurant market, who's buying, what's moving, what restaurant owners need to know right now. I'm Rob Morrison.
I'm Robin Gagnon, and you know, Rob, my favorite thing is dig into the numbers.
Yes, indeed.
Really analyze them, and that's what we've done with everything that happened in May. And it's exciting because it's showing us the buyer market is sending very clear signals. We're seeing strong activity, and we're looking at multiple data points. So when we're talking about what's happening in the market, you were talking about traffic on the world's most heavily trafficked website for restaurants for sale. We are looking at signed confidentiality agreements. We're looking at new buyer inquiries. And then we're also looking at what's sold.
Yeah. Every single thing you just said, right? Those are the important signals. They show actual buyer behavior, not theory, not guesses or opinions, real engagement from buyers who are looking at restaurant opportunities now.
And see, I think this is contrary to what our listeners might believe, but the biggest takeaway is this: buyer demand for restaurant businesses incredibly strong in May.
You're absolutely right, because there are those economic concerns, right? Gas prices are up, international uncertainty, stock market movement, but the buyers still are searching.
They're searching, they're clicking, they're asking questions, they are signing a greater level of commitment in the deal by going into a confidentiality agreement. And when the right opportunity is presented at the right price, they're taking action.
That's right. All right. So we have some insights. As always, affordability is what we're going to talk about, Robin. Let's start with that price point, because definitely seems to be one of the clearest findings.
It was, absolutely. And such interesting takeaways. So the most active part of the buyer market is what I call the affordable restaurant segment.
That's right. Yeah. So in May, right, we're talking about May, more than half of the top 25 listings by signed confidentiality agreements were listed under $100,000.
And we focused in just on those top 25. But remember, we have a listing database of more than 1,350 restaurants on our website. We have about $640 million in listing inventory. But by really dialing into where was the most activity, it tells us there's a large group of motivated buyers. They're looking at an entry point in the restaurant industry.
Sure. Could be first-time buyers, could be experienced operators who are looking for a second-generation space, or it could be entrepreneurs who want to keep their initial investment just a little bit lower.
Yeah, and don't forget, SNO, that's sold, not open on the franchisor's books. Second-generation space, entry-level price points, it's ideal. They lower their cost to go to market significantly.
Right.
And it really matters, right? Because if your restaurant's positioned at that accessible price point, you're reaching a broader buyer pool. That's what it tells us.
100%. It's the most important thing we do, right? Pricing correctly. That strategy is so important. Buyers are active. They're also comparing those opportunities very carefully.
And that right pricing, it really creates urgency. The wrong price, it slows momentum. Even though the buyer demand is strong, they're just going past that price point.
Yep. All right. So we're talking about affordability there. Also, how about this? Looking at the markets and parsing them out, North Carolina and the Southeast in general appear to be leading buyer activity. Geography, big story in May.
And North Carolina, right? Lots of good things happening, but it stood out as one of the strongest markets for buyer engagement this month.
A place you know so well, Cary, Charlotte, Raleigh, Concord, all showing strong activity, which tells us the buyers are paying close attention to both of the Carolinas.
Right. And it was from Raleigh to Charlotte. So it wasn't just Charlotte. It wasn't just the eastern part of the state, just the western part of the state. And it wasn't limited to one kind of restaurant. So people were engaging with these Italian restaurants, bars, asset sale, multi-unit opportunities, and much more.
Yeah, strong sign there, because it shows the market has depth, not just one concept pulling all the attention. It's buyer demand across several of those restaurant categories you mentioned.
Yes, in Charlotte, the Queen City, capital of North Carolina, showed a wide range of buyer interest. Lower cost opportunities attracted those buyers, but also, interestingly enough, full service concepts as well.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. Outside of North Carolina, Nashville continued to perform well. No real surprise there.
Yeah, Nashville, it's just one of those markets where buyer interest is always consistent. Buyers are looking at opportunities across multiple price points, especially in that lower six-figure range.
Yeah, so when you zoom out, Southeast Corridor, still very strong.
Super strong. We're talking Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, all key markets for restaurant buyer activity.
All right, this is great stuff. Buyer trend here. Let's talk about this. Cafes, QSR, asset sales appear to be capturing a lot of the attention. So that's what it appears that the buyers are looking at right now.
Yeah, so we see it with, as you mentioned, cafes, coffee, breakfast, lunch, quick service, bars, pubs, franchise opportunities, and asset sales. So what do those have in common?
Well, when I think of all of that as a group, I think that they're mainstays
of the business, right?
Yeah.
Also, think about that lower labor model,
right?
You don't need as many people if you're just doing coffee and breakfast because you're open fewer hours. Quick service, don't need as many people, one person at the counter, right? So these are things where you can invest and turn over quickly and not have a huge labor staff to deal with.
Owner-operator opportunities. Asset sales, especially active, and that tells us something else about buyer behavior.
Right, so buyers are willing to invest and not operate exactly as they see it today. Some of them are just looking for the right space, the equipment, the lease, the build-out, infrastructure. They're going to bring in their own concept, but they know they're buying great opportunity upside.
Not building from the ground up. It could shorten the path, the opening compared to building a restaurant, pulling the permits, all of that stuff.
And I said this earlier, but that's a great option for franchisors and franchise candidates. I was talking to the president of a brand yesterday, and he said their build outs $1 million to $1.2 million. But if they can get into second generation space, they can cut it by almost 50%.
Yeah.
That's huge. So good real estate, hard to find. So this second generation space could be a tired Italian concept, no longer generating the revenue it could or should, and you bring in some fresh Tex-Mex taqueria with a full bar, and all of a sudden it's jammed again.
Yep, it's got the good bones. Right? All right, so cafes, coffee concepts, they're standing out, as you mentioned.
Right. And, those are great because of the daytime hours, right? Simple menus. And forever, we've always said breakfast is the most profitable day part, right? It doesn't take a lot of skills to fry up or scramble up some eggs and bacon, and margins are phenomenal, especially now that eggs are back to a great price point. So these are operations, they feel manageable for a first time or lifestyle focused buyer.
And you mentioned quick service, QSR as well.
Yeah, it's simple systems, speed of service, repeat traffic, right? Clear operating models. Lots of them on the app, so they're drawing that customer back in and again and again. Yeah,
they always ask, are you going to be using the app today, right? Okay, so the takeaway for restaurant owners is that buyer demand isn't limited to just one type of opportunity.
That's right. Some buyers want that cash flow. Others looking for conversion opportunities, franchise systems, second generation space, or even lifestyle friendly. So the market is active, but buyers are very specific about what fits their individual goals.
Okay. Well, we said it, right? The buyer interest is there, but the preparation, you can't go into it without being prepared, right?
Boy Scout.
That's right. Be prepared. The lesson is that the market's active at the lower price points. So do your homework.
Yeah, and not only that, be ready to move, because if an opportunity is under 100,000, it has this strong location, useful equipment, this clear path to conversion, buyers, they better expect some competition.
That's right. So you have to be ready to move, like I just said.
Yeah, have your proof of funds available, know your budget, understand whether you want an operating business, an asset sale, or a franchise opportunity. If there's going to be alcohol involved, make sure everybody's going to be able to pass that background check that needs to be on the alcohol license. Like understanding that ahead of time puts you just so much farther ahead of the pack.
Right. And a good broker will help you figure that out, right? And so when you see that listing, if it fits, move quickly through the whole confidentiality process.
Waiting too long, it just puts another buyer ahead of you. Don't want that.
That's right. It doesn't mean rush into a decision. It means being organized enough to evaluate the opportunity professionally and properly.
Yeah, it's those buyers that are prepared who really are in that best position to move forward.
All right. That's buyers. Now let's talk about seller insight. We've been telling you all along that the buyer activity is real. Strong buyer demand. It doesn't mean every restaurant automatically sells, however.
It's such an important point. Listen, buyer demand is active, but buyers are selective.
We keep saying it. They're looking closely at the price, the lease terms, financials, the equipment, the location, any future potential for growth.
And the presentation matters, right? What are the clear financials being stated, accurate pricing, good photos, strong listing copy? Buyer confidence improves with all of those elements in place, and a certified restaurant broker knows how to make that happen.
And we know how to price it correctly too, and position it clearly. You have a better chance of capturing serious buyer interest if those things are taken care of.
And even when that business is not producing strong cash flow, these May numbers show us it has significant value as an asset sale or second generation opportunity.
Yep. So that keeps the buyer interest alive and creates a path forward for all the sellers out there.
Right. So, and this is where let's take a pause for a minute. We talk about buyers, talk about sellers. We're going to just kind of lean into our core values, because while the market data matters, the client experience is just, if not more important.
It absolutely matters. The transactions involve real buyers, real sellers, real goals and emotions. And this week we have 2 client reviews that show how important communication, guidance, and expertise are throughout this process.
All right. So the first review is for Samantha with We Sell Restaurants Orlando, and it's from Jeannie Whitaker, who shared, "We had an outstanding experience working with Samantha at We Sell Restaurants during the purchase of Breezeway Restaurant. We're not far. We should visit that. She was incredibly helpful, knowledgeable, and professional throughout the entire process. Samantha made what could have been a stressful experience feel smooth and manageable by always being available to answer questions and guide us every step of the way. Her expertise and attention to detail gave us confidence from start to. We truly appreciate all of her hard work and highly recommend Samantha to anyone looking to buy or sell a restaurant. Thank you, Samantha, for being so attentive throughout our first business purchase."
Wow, what a great example of what buyers need in an active market. They need guidance and the communication and confidence as they move through what can be a little bit of a chaotic process.
All right, let's move to Georgia Northwest Mountains. And the second review is from Vincent Fernandez. He says, "He's all you expect from a broker. He responded very fast. The business was on the market after 24 hours. The first tour, 2 days later. The business sold fast. Very good advisor, knows what he is doing, and has a good network to move fast. Thank you for your service."
Wow, that's a quick turnaround by Paul.
Yes, it is.
He listed that one quickly. 2 reviews connecting directly to what we're talking about today, Robin. Buyer activity is strong, but experience, preparation, and the right advisor still make a big difference in the end.
So whether someone is buying their first business, selling a restaurant, having that certified restaurant broker in your corner can make the process smoother, more organized, and more successful.
All right. That was a quick one today.
Well, it is, because we really wanted to drive into some of these things that are happening. Like we talked about cafe and coffee shops as a leader. Franchises, they really generated a disproportionate amount of inquiries. We had this multi-unit package in Alabama. Eric has that one listed at 1.7 million.
Yep.
It's been going crazy, 4.2 million in sales. So lots of good franchises in the mix. So we learned a lot from May, and we want to share it with the audience.
Yeah, the buyers are out there, no matter what else you're hearing in the headlines out there.
Yeah, forget gas prices.
Forget it.
They're buying restaurants.
And they're very active, as we said, in those affordable price points, right? The second generation spaces, cafes, QSR, asset sales, and we know that the Southeast right now is red hot.
Red hot in more ways than one. I think the temperature almost 100 this weekend. For buyers, preparation is key.
Yeah, sellers, positioning is key.
And for anyone thinking of buying or selling a restaurant, the first step is understanding where the market is today.
So how do you figure that out? Well, you go to WeSellRestaurants.com to explore restaurant opportunities all across the country.
Or connect with a certified restaurant broker to talk about what your restaurant could be worth in today's market.
So if you enjoyed today's show, hit that thumbs up button and share it with someone interested in restaurant ownership.
Follow our page so you never miss a new listing.
All right, until then, have a great weekend. And remember that our name says it all.
We sell restaurants.